recent arrest of Samuel Ekpa, who has been the mastermind pushing this idea of, while he's there in comfort, taking the citizenship of another country, but yet fomenting trouble in the Southeast. And unfortunately, there are a few people that really don't understand what the man's mindset is. He's having fun, enjoying himself, partying and doing all sorts, and yet pushing people to kill themselves. Whatever it is that he's doing has affected the economy within the general area. This Monday sit at home and all these things. But I'm happy that now finally the Finnish government have seen reason, because they were provided all they needed, all the funding he's getting, all the things he's doing. He has taken ownership of the killings. He has taken ownership of a lot of things that have been going on. So they've picked him up now. And I can tell you the jubilation in the Southeast has been wonderful, because people were just tired of
Was there a role played in the arrest of Simon Ekpa by the military by providing information?
No, it's a holistic idea by all the security forces. We looked at where the money, we trailed the money, what he was doing, the comments he was making. He's there live on TV, fomenting trouble, saying all these sorts of things, commanding people and action being taken. And when these things are done, he takes ownership of those things. So these are complaints that
so that is the documentation of all the things,
everything had handed over to them, and they've seen it, and they don't understand that. Look, keeping him there is a minus for them. The area we're looking at is this issue of the Southeast. Simon Ekpa. So this individual has become a menace to this country.
Order.
Samuel Ekpa has become a menace to this country. So the country must act on it diplomatically. Finland is having a free way, encouraging him to do what he's doing. By his utterances and his actions, is affecting what is happening in Nigeria. We should never allow that, sir. So I think our foreign service need to step in to address such issues. It's either we invite the ambassador or somebody. They must explain why they are protecting him. And he's doing us more harm, because by his utterances, a lot of people are being killed. We cannot sit back and just keep.
Well, the news of the final verdict, which is a 6-year sentence that Simon Ekpa has to serve in Finland. The news of it did not come new to the indigenous people of Biafra, Ipob, headed by detained Nnamdi Kanu. There is a press statement that I'm going to quickly go through, and you'll be shocked. The conviction of Simon Ekpa, a historic lesson against fraud, violence, and misguided preachings. The conviction of Simon Ekpa by a district court in Finland does not come to me as a surprise. I have long understood the weight of his infractions, the inherent weakness of his defense, and the inevitable collapse of the fraudulent empire he built on lies, violence, and exploitation. A history of deceit and violence. From the very beginning, when Simon Ekpa launched his treacherous bid to usurp the authority of the Directorate of State, DOS, of the indigenous people of Biafra, Ipob. His agenda was never hidden. It was aided both openly and discreetly by individuals and groups whose mission was to derail the genuine struggle for self-determination, sow confusion, and ultimately reduce Ala Igbo into a theater of violence, bloodshed, and blackmail. For a time, they succeeded. Ekpa's deadly declarations, recklessly amplified across media platforms, were swallowed hook, line, and sinker by vulnerable and misguided elements. His so-called foot soldiers, whenever apprehended, would never mention his name or his Biafra Liberation Army, BLA, Instead, they falsely claimed to be IPOB members, thereby tarnishing the image of a peaceful global movement. This strategic deception provided the Nigerian state with excuses to brutalize innocent and peaceful agitators and criminalize a globally recognized peaceful movement. My public stand and sacrifices throughout this dangerous era. I raised my voice on every available platform, including mainstream media, warning our people to reject Simon Ekpa and his poisonous preachings. I was attacked, vilified, and branded a saboteur simply because I insisted on speaking the truth. He built his criminal empire on deceit, harvesting money from gullible followers while fabricating lies about warships, fighter jets, and dates of Biafra independence that never came to pass. My public stance put a target on my back in the hands of Ekpa and his misguided foot soldiers. The irony remains painful. Even after each false prophecy failed, some continue to clap for him, pouring in financial contributions while he lived in comfort abroad, and our youth died at home. Educated elites who should have known better sometimes defend him, or worse, remain silent out of fear or complicity. It is important to recall that IPOB's leadership under the Directorate of State repeatedly and vocally condemned Ekpa's actions, distancing the global peaceful movement from his violence. Yet, he continued to receive covert approval from certain individuals, some of whom today are among the loudest in calling for his head. Their silence at the critical moment remains a betrayal history will never forget. Lessons from his conviction. Simon Ekpa's conviction under a jurisdiction that respects human rights and the rule of law offers deep lessons. It demonstrates that no amount of lies, propaganda, or fraudulent appeals to self-determination can shield a criminal enterprise built on fraud, bloodshed, and deception. It is therefore imperative that our people begin to wear their thinking caps and ask hard questions. No rational mind should have believed Ekpa's outrageous lies about stationed warships and combat-ready jets in Igbo land. His entire project was nothing but an elaborate scam designed to defraud the very people he claimed to liberate. Even now, some of his misguided followers are being deceived into believing that his conviction somehow upheld his right to self-determination. That is false. The court never upheld any such right because his trial and conviction was never about his purported right to self-determination. Rather, the court convicted him for fraud, deception, and actions that funded violence against the same people he professed to defend. That is the height of criminality. Human cost of his fraud. The chickens have indeed come home to roost. But what about the thousands of lives which have been wasted as a result of Ekpa's poisonous preachings? Many of his misguided followers languish in detention without trial. Many more were killed extrajudicially. Their parents and families remain in pain. Throughout this era, not one of the lawyers secretly hobnobbing with Ekpa was bold enough to openly defend his followers or seek their release. Instead, the victims of his scam were abandoned while he thrived abroad. Time for a new beginning. It is time for stock taking. Time to reject criminality, fraud, and blackmail as tools of agitation. Time to rise above emotional manipulation and stand firmly for truth, justice, and peaceful struggle. Ekpa may be convicted today, but the scars of his deceit and the devastation left behind will take years to cleanse from Igbo. Conclusion: let the lesson be clear to all. No legitimate struggle for liberation can be built on deceit, fraud, and violence against one's own people. Those who still glorify Ekpa or tread his path are not freedom fighters. They are merchants of death. The future of Igbo must never again be left in the hands of impostors who exploit the pain of their people for personal gain. May Chukwu Okike, whose holy name has been shamelessly invoked by both the righteous and the fraudulent, deliver our land and guide our people into light, wisdom, and peace. This article is signed by Ifeanyi Ejiofor, Esquire, KSC, September 1st, 2025. You all know the story of Simon Ekpa, how he said he is Nnamdi Kanu's disciple. When Nnamdi Kanu was extraordinarily rendited to Nigeria, all the way from Kenya, the talk is that Nnamdi Kanu was seduced by a woman with a big bomb and a promise of funding Ipob. Well, unfortunately, it was a trap set by his kinsmen, tribesmen, and the Nigerian government working hand in hand. Simon Ekpa, domiciled in Finland, he probably must have picked up on one or two things here and there, but somehow it seems he did not take into cognizance, neither did he know the weight of the Nigerian government and how they could push and press, how they were able to press and manipulate, or rather convince the Finnish government to look into Simon Ekpa's activity. Now, the truth of the matter is that a lot of terrible things are happening in the southeast of Nigeria, coming from rogues, coming from a lot of undesirable elements. The sit at home on Monday will not hurt the Nigerian government. What is the answer? What is the way to get them to listen? What is the way? Is it by unaliving your tribesmen? Why don't you go to the state government? Why don't you go to the federal government? Those that you think are in charge of policy and are willing to allow referendum or break up of Nigeria. Rather, they insist on impoverishing themselves and unaliving themselves. At first, it appeared okay to have Eastern Security Network, and this is the brainchild of Nnamdi Kanu, and this came as a result of a need to protect lives and property. Then we had the issue of Fulani and aliens ravaging villages, towns, cities. We had it. But somehow, such movement, of course, without proper accountability, will result into guerrilla. These are the same difficulty faced by freedom fighters in South America, Latin America. You will have guerrillas, you will have people who will hijack and create their own faction. Now, it is so difficult to have peace in the Southeast. Kidnapping is now mixed in between Southeasterners and the Fulani and aliens. It is the truth. It is the truth.